At a gathering of friends, my amnesiac husband peeled shrimp for everyone at the table. I joked that I wanted some too, but my husband tapped the back of my hand with his chopsticks as I reached for the shrimp. Always craving snacks. Have you forgotten you're allergic to seafood? With that, he carried the entire plate of freshly peeled shrimp over and set it down in front of his psychologist. Staring at the faintly burning red mark on the back of my hand, I finally made up my mind. Felix Liu, let's get a divorce. Everyone thought I had lost my mind. Felix Liu looked utterly stunned. You want a divorce just because I wouldn't let you eat shrimp? I looked straight at him, my tone calm. The air turned icy in an instant. Felix Liu took off his gloves, lit a cigarette and leaned back in his chair irritably. The friends around exchanged awkward glances, their eyes darting back and forth between Felix Liu and me. Someone quickly tried to smooth things over. Come on, Elowen, you've always had a great sense of humor. Felix Elowen wants shrimp. What are you just sitting there for? Hurry and peel some for her. Exactly, Felix. You peeled shrimp for everyone, and even gave Miss Fu a whole plate. No wonder Elowen is upset. I'd be mad too. Felix Liu exhaled a cloud of smoke and let out a mocking snort. She's allergic to seafood. If any of you want to send her straight to the hospital, go ahead and peel as much as you like for her yourselves. His words made the others look at me with strange, judgmental eyes. Elowen, I had no idea you were allergic to seafood. It's not Felix's fault at all. You're being a little unreasonable throwing a fit like this. Aren't you just jealous of Miss Fu? She's Felix's psychologist. It's only natural for Felix to look after her a little. Don't be difficult. Right, Elowen. Felix only lost his memory, not his love for you. I listened to their words, bitterness spreading through my heart. These were all longtime friends of Felix Liu and me. A year ago, Felix Liu, working as a plaintiff's lawyer, won a major lawsuit. He was then targeted by the defendant's family and struck on the head with an iron rod in a parking lot. When he first lay unconscious in the hospital, these friends took turns keeping vigil by his bedside, staying with me through those darkest days. Over the past year, as Felix Liu's memory never returned, they were the ones comforting me, saying he would remember everything someday, and urging me to wait a little longer. I had never once thought of giving up on Felix Liu, yet now that I brought up divorce, their first reaction was not to ask why but to label me unreasonable and petty. I picked up my bag and stood up, ignoring their accusations. I only said to Felix Liu, tomorrow I'll see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I didn't bother glancing at Felix Liu's expression as I pushed back my chair. To leave. Ione Fu stood to her feet. Stay, Elowen Shen. I'll leave instead. It all began a year ago. Felix Liu lay in a coma for a month after the injury, only to wake up with no memory of the past. I thought bringing him home and reminding him of our memories would help him recover. But barely 2 months later, his mental state deteriorated, and he even showed signs of depression. Not daring to take any chances, I found him Ione Fu, the most authoritative psychologist in Jiangcheng. Over these months of treatment, Felix Liu's mental health improved greatly aside from his lost memory, but he also grew utterly dependent on Ione Fu. He brought her along to work, daily life, and even casual friend gatherings like this one. I had argued with him about it before, but he simply said indifferently, I know you're my wife, but you make me feel completely unsafe. I need Dr. Fu. If you're tired of this, you can leave. I won't stop you. His words drained all my strength to fight. Ione Fu raised her glass to apologize to everyone. Then she set down her wine glass and carried the plate of shrimp over to Felix Liu. Felix, you need to learn to break this dependency. No psychologist can stay by a patient's side forever. Don't contact me for a while. As for this plate of shrimp, I have no right to enjoy it. She patted Felix Liu's shoulder and turned to leave in her high heels. But Felix Liu suddenly grabbed her wrist. You've done nothing wrong. Why leave? He then turned to me, his expression cold and distant. Elowen Shen, have you finished throwing your tantrum? If you have, apologize to Dr. Fu. After all, it's because of you that she's been misunderstood tonight. His words prompted the other friends to chime in, urging me to apologize to Ione Fu. I looked at Ione Fu, not missing the faint triumphant curve of her lips. In front of everyone she was always the gentle, intelligent Dr. Fu. No one knew how much malice lay hidden beneath that soft facade. I regretted countless times bringing her into Felix Liu's life, but it was too late for regret now. Felix Liu, this is not a tantrum. Seeing how serious I was, Felix Liu frowned almost imperceptibly and let out a cold laugh. You want a divorce over a plate of shrimp? Ask everyone here, doesn't it sound ridiculous? Elowen Shen, take the step down I'm offering. Keep this up, and there won't be any more chances for you to back down. I tugged at the corner of my lips. This time, I didn't need any steps down at all. I reached out and gently pinched Felix Lu's earlobe, my voice soft and quiet. Felix Lu, how? Did you know I'm allergic to seafood when you lost your memory? His earlobe under my fingertips instantly burned red hot. Felix Lu only blushed like this when he felt guilty and flustered. Only my parents and the old Felix Lu, before his amnesia, knew about my seafood allergy. But my parents had died in a car accident 2 years ago. The amnesiac Felix Lu was never supposed to know this secret. I stared at his frozen expression, my heart aching with sorrow. Yet no one at the table looked surprised. All of them avoided my gaze, clearly guilty in hiding the truth. It turned out everyone knew his memory had returned long ago, everyone except me. I tilted my head back to hold back my tears, my voice turning slightly hoarse. Felix Lu, I haven't even asked you yet. When did you get your memory back? He pressed his lips tightly, his jaw tense, clearly refusing to answer. I let out a self-deprecating laugh. 8 tomorrow morning. I'll see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau without fail. I walked out of the private room. The moment the door closed, tears burst uncontrollably from my eyes. I paid no mind to the curious stares from passers-by. All I wanted was to escape as fast as I could. When I reached the restaurant entrance, a heavy downpour had started without warning. Deep puddles covered the road and the ride-hailing app was completely overloaded. My mood sank to rock bottom. Just as I prepared to walk home in the rain, a waiter handed me an umbrella. Miss May, your mood stay bright even on rainy days. Her warm smile sent a faint stream of warmth through my heart. It was probably the only bit of luck I'd had all day. I held the umbrella and stepped into the pouring rain. Suddenly a Maybach sped past. Dirty rainwater splattered all over my clothes, and one corner of my umbrella was broken. I recognized the familiar license plate at a glance. I also saw a hand waving teasingly from the passenger seat. Ione Fu was making it clear to me that Felix Lu had done it on purpose. I tightened my grip on the umbrella handle, my mind drifting back to a rainy night half a year ago. I was 7 months pregnant back then when I suddenly received a message from Felix Lu. He said the law firm had a power outage, and he was trapped in the elevator suffocating. He suffered from severe claustrophobia, caused by his father locking him in a cabinet when he was a child. I panicked and rushed straight to the law firm, only to find no sign of him in the elevator at all. That night, I drove around frantically in the rain searching for him, only to get into a car accident at a crossroads. I lost the baby on the spot, and I barely survived the crash myself. Felix Lu was consumed with guilt afterward. He said he'd been overwhelmed by painful memories trapped in the elevator and couldn't bear to see anyone, so he hid away. He never expected it would lead to my accident. From then on, even with his memory still gone, Felix Lu started reporting every little thing he did to me. But 3 days ago, I received an anonymous text message that uncovered the truth. On that night, Felix Lu had never even gone to the law firm. He had been celebrating Ione Fu's birthday instead. The power outage and elevator trap lie? It was just a dare he lost, forced to send that message by Ione Fu. I arrived home completely soaked, leaving trails of water everywhere I stepped. Felix Lu stood there in a bathrobe drying his hair, water droplets still dripping down his chest. He said nothing and I stayed silent too. The sound of running water came from the bathroom. I grabbed my pajamas, ready to take a hot shower. As my hand touched the doorknob, Felix Lu spoke coldly. Ione Fu is inside. Wait until she's done. I froze, staring at him in disbelief. Even after I exposed his fake amnesia, he still dared to bring Ione Fu back to our home and let her use our bathroom. Felix Lu poured a cup of warm water and shrugged at me casually. There's no need to look so shocked. You know how heavy the rain is outside? Her home is far away and she's drunk quite a lot. I can't leave her alone to go back. Besides, haven't you been insisting on a divorce? Since we're splitting up soon, I can bring whoever I like back to my house. You have no right to interfere. He stressed the words my house deliberately. Yet he had bought this apartment originally to build a warm home for me. I suppressed the discomfort in my heart and nodded calmly. Of course. You bought the house. You can bring whoever you want back, it's your freedom. Felix Lu's expression darkened instantly. I paid him no mind and headed for the bedroom to pack my luggage. Just then, the bathroom door opened suddenly. Ione Fu walked out wearing Felix Lu's white shirt, her bare legs exposed. She naturally took the warm water from Felix Lu's hand and smiled at me gently. Eloin Shen, don't take Felix's angry words to heart. If you don't want to see me, I'll leave soon. Her words said one thing, but she turned on the television without any intention of leaving at all. Yet Felix Lu took her words seriously. He shot me a warning glance, held Ione Fu's hand firmly and said solemnly, I won't let you leave. No one has the right to drive you away, Ione Fu. You can stay here as long as you like, no need to care about anyone else's feelings. Anyone else's? We weren't even officially divorced yet, and I was already a stranger in his eyes. Fine by me. It seemed a divorce would be clean and straightforward tomorrow. I ignored the triumphant smile on Ione Fu's face, turned into the bedroom, changed into dry clothes, and quickly packed my luggage, dragging my suitcase into the living room. I saw Ione Fu leaning her head on Felix Lu's shoulder, looking as intimate as a real couple. At the sight of my suitcase by my feet, the smile on Felix Lu's face froze abruptly. Where are you going? There was a hint of panic in his tone. I replied calmly, making space for the two of you. Felix Lu flew into a rage at once. He strode over to me, snatched my suitcase away and dragged me forcefully into the bedroom. The bedroom door slammed shut. Felix Lu locked it from the inside, standing firmly in front of the door as if afraid I would run away. Eloin Shen, stop being irrational. It's pouring outside, you won't even be able to get a taxi. Ione Fu is only my psychologist. What do you have to be jealous of? Even now he still thought I was throwing an unreasonable fit. I turned on my laptop and opened a document. Come on, Lawyer Lu, we're both free right now. Draft the divorce agreement. You ought to be an expert at this. Felix Lu froze in shock. Over the past year, every time I argued with him over Ione Fu, he was the one who suggested splitting up, and I would always back down and compromise. He thought I loved him too much to ever leave him. But no one is truly irreplaceable. When he refused to move, I started drafting it myself. The clacking of the keyboard filled the room. I had written countless divorce agreements for Felix Lu's clients before, but this was the first time writing one for myself. I had barely typed a few words when Felix Lu swiped the laptop off the floor in a fit of rage. That's enough. Eloin Shen, I never agreed to a divorce. You once promised you'd never leave me. It's only been a few years and you're already going back on your word? His face was filled with fury, his chest heaving violently. His half-open bathrobe revealed a hideous scar across his chest. He got that scar back in high school fighting off thugs who harassed me. He lost a lot of blood that day. Doctors marveled that he was lucky to be alive, saying the wound was only a few millimeters away from his heart. Yet when he woke up he didn't worry about himself at all. He only comforted me first. He said he had a worthless life, that no one would grieve if he died. I knew Felix Lu's parents were a miserable, loveless couple who cared nothing for each other, and even less for their son. They divorced when Felix Lu was in junior high, leaving him as a burden neither wanted. He lacked a sense of security, so I gave him all the security he needed. On our wedding day I promised I would never leave him. That was why, even when he abandoned me time and again for Ione Fu over the past year, I never once considered giving up on him. Seeing my eyes turn red, a flash of heartache crossed Felix Lu's face. He pulled me into his arms, murmuring my pet name over and over again. Eloin, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hide things from you. There are still many memories I haven't recovered yet. I was just afraid I'd let you down. He looked as wronged and vulnerable as an abandoned puppy. But when I thought of the child we lost, I still couldn't bring myself to forgive him. Just then, Ione Fu's voice came from outside the door. Felix, I don't think I should stay here tonight. You and Eloin Shen should talk things through properly. Your mental health has mostly recovered anyway. Let's end our doctor-patient relationship here. Felix Lu's body stiffened. Rain pattered heavily against the window. He didn't let go of me until the sound of a closing door echoed from the living room. Eloin Shen, the rain is too heavy. I need to see Ione Fu home safely. I'll pretend you never mentioned divorce. Wait for me to come back and we'll talk properly. With that, he kissed my forehead and hurried out the door. I walked to the window and watched Ione Fu standing in the rain. Felix Lu carefully parked his car beside her and rushed out in the downpour to help her into the passenger seat. I took out my phone and opened the monitoring app. After receiving that anonymous text 3 days ago, I had installed a monitor in Felix Lu's car. On the screen I watched Felix Lu drying Ione Fu's hair, draping a blanket over her shoulders, and cupping her hands to blow warm breath onto them. Then Ione Fu climbed into the driver's seat and straddled Felix Lu's lap. I couldn't bear to watch any longer and reached to turn off the screen, when Ione Fu's voice suddenly came through clearly. Felix Lu, you regained your memory the very day Eloin Shen had her miscarriage. Why did you tell everyone else but hide it only from her? And tonight, when I said I wanted to end our relationship, why did you chase after me? Felix Lu, I'm not a child. Don't try to fool me. My breath caught sharply. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Felix Lu had recovered his memory so long ago. For half a year he had watched me grieve over losing our child, watched me suffer, all while fully aware of everything. My phone slipped from my hand and clattered to the floor. Felix Lu's voice followed immediately afterward. Because I didn't want to lose you too soon. You said Elowen was pregnant, and you didn't want to ruin my family. So I let her lose that child. You said you didn't want to be the other woman. So I held back and never touched you. I take you everywhere with me. I even transferred my law firm shares under Elowen's name to you. Ione Fu, don't pretend you can't see it. I'm damn well in love with you. His voice turned rough and intense by the end. Right after that, the sound of passionate kissing poured through the speaker. The world spun wildly around me. I could barely breathe, my stomach churning violently. I braced myself on my knees and couldn't help retching. My eyes burned red, my throat parched and dry. The scandalous sounds from the phone grew louder and clearer in the quiet room. I closed my eyes for a moment, sank down onto the floor, and picked up my phone again. The screen displayed their intertwined figures. Numbly, I exited the monitoring interface and dialed a number. Haven't you always wanted to surpass Felix Lu? Take on a lawsuit for me and I'll make your reputation skyrocket overnight. Elowen. Shen. Do you know what you're saying? Weren't you head over heels in love with him, willing to do anything for him? I stared at the ring on my ring finger. Felix Lu had bought it with the money from his first ever court case. It wasn't expensive, but it held irreplaceable meaning. I had worn it for 5 years, never once thinking of taking it off. I slipped the ring off and tossed it out the window. Then I spoke into the phone calmly. I don't love him anymore. Are you taking the case or not? I'll take it. I'd be crazy to turn down a case that can crush Felix Lu into the dust. All right, Miss Shen, what kind of lawsuit is it? My divorce lawsuit. I paid no mind to the shock on the other end of the line and hung up. Then I called Felix Lu. I watched the two people on the monitor startle at the ringing call, my face completely emotionless. Ione Fu picked up the phone, smiling coquettishly at Felix Lu. It's your wife. Should I answer? Felix Lu was in the heat of the moment, rudely interrupted, undisguised irritation flashing across his face. He reached for the phone to hang up, but Ione Fu stopped him. She traced slow circles on his chest with her index finger. Her voice no longer cold and reserved as usual, dripping with charm and seduction. Want to make our first time even more thrilling? Felix Lu grabbed her wandering hand, narrowed his eyes slightly, and looked at her with indulgence. The next second, Ione Fu pressed the answer button. Felix Lu smiled lazily, pulled her close by the waist, and spoke toward the phone. Elowen, what's wrong? I'm still on the way to send Ione Fu home. Go to sleep first, no need to leave the light on for me. In 5 years of marriage to Felix Lu, I had always waited up for him every night. On extra late nights I would leave a lamp burning for him. Staring at their entangled figures on the screen, I fought back the surge of nausea. When I spoke, my throat felt scraped raw by rough gravel. Felix Lu, I'm just reminding you not to forget our divorce appointment at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. My voice echoed clearly inside the car. The smile on Felix Lu's face vanished instantly. He leaned back irritably against the car seat and frowned. Elowen. Shen, haven't you thrown enough fits already? Ione Fu has even cried because of your behavior. How much longer are you going to keep making trouble? I've already said it, I'm not getting divorced. As he spoke, he gently wiped away the tears. Glistening at the corner of Ione Fu's eyes, tears shed for no clear reason. Watching this glaringly intimate scene, my heart was surprisingly calm. I said flatly, if you refuse to divorce, then terminate your doctor-patient relationship with Ione Fu. I'll find you another psychologist for your condition. Felix Lu pressed his lips tightly, impatience evident in his eyes. Ione Fu watched him with keen interest. When Felix Lu didn't reply after a long moment, the amusement in her eyes faded at once. She made a move to get off his lap, only to be held down by Felix Lu's hand on her shoulder. Then Felix Lu's deep voice came through the phone. Elowen Shen, I think you really need to get a job to keep yourself occupied. Stop being so suspicious all day long. This conversation ends here. Go to bed early. The call was cut off. I stared blankly at the screen, my ears buzzing numbly. After graduating from university, Felix Lu wanted to start his own law firm. We struggled through those days together, living in a basement, sharing a single steamed bun to survive. In the early days of his business, I ran around securing resources, handling promotions, and taking on countless roles. I exhausted my health to the point where even a full night's sleep became a luxury. Later his law firm gradually stabilized, but my health had already broken down. I once fainted directly at my workstation. Felix Lu was terrified that day. It was the first time I had ever seen him cry. He said if he had known starting a business would cost me my health, he would have rather stayed an ordinary office worker for the rest of his life. He gave me 20% of the law firm's shares as compensation. After that, I focused on recovering my health and never worked again. Now the pain I endured had become a weapon he used to attack me. I copied the recorded surveillance video without hesitation, and sent it to Rowan Jew. Afterward I packed all my belongings that belonged to me. As I carried my things downstairs, the Maybach by the road slowly started its engine. The rain kept falling softly. Felix Liu looked utterly satisfied as he prepared to roll down the window to let fresh air in, when his gaze suddenly froze. "Felix, what's wrong?" Ione Fu followed his line of sight in confusion, but outside the car was only pitch darkness and slowly receding tree shadows. Felix Liu frowned and looked away. "Nothing. I misread something." Still feeling uneasy, he glanced at the rearview mirror again. Seeing the empty intersection, he finally relaxed completely. He thought Elowen Shen had seen him downstairs and rushed out to chase after him. Felix Liu let out a mocking snort, chiding himself for being overly anxious. Half an hour later, the Maybach stopped outside a small villa. Ione Fu unfastened her seatbelt and was about to get out of the car when she saw Felix Liu light a cigarette with no intention of leaving. "It's so late. Are you not heading back?" Felix Liu checked the time. It was nearly 2 in the morning, far too late indeed. He hadn't planned on going back when he rushed out earlier. He was afraid Elowen Shen would bring up divorce again, and even more unsure how to cover up the lie about regaining his memory. Elowen Shen knew him far too well. He couldn't let her spot even the slightest flaw in his pretense. Yet the phone call in the car had left him inexplicably flustered. Elowen Shen was still determined to get a divorce. If he didn't go back tonight, there was no telling how much of a scene she would make tomorrow. Felix Liu gently ruffled Ione Fu's hair in a soothing gesture. "I'll go back to calm her down. I'll come find you tomorrow. Be good." Ione Fu smiled faintly. "Aren't you afraid Elowen Shen will drag you straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau for divorce tomorrow morning?" Felix Liu's hand froze mid-motion, his brows knitting tightly together. Ione Fu's words made him hesitate. After a long moment, he unfastened his seatbelt and entered the villa with Ione Fu. The next day, the first thing Felix Liu did when he woke up was check his phone. He had expected many missed calls and text messages from Elowen Shen. But when he opened the messaging app, the conversation with Elowen Shen was eerily quiet. Elowen Shen hadn't called him, not even sent a single message. Felix Liu leaned against the headboard, a sudden hollow feeling in his chest. He threw off the blanket intending to go back and check. But as soon as he got out of bed, a soft body pressed against his back. "Where are you running off to? If she's not contacting you, it means she's still angry. Going back now will only lead to a huge argument. What will that solve? You might as well stay here with me for a few days. Wait until Elowen Shen calms down and contacts you on her own, then you can talk to her properly." Felix Liu froze for a moment, thinking Ione Fu was right. If Elowen Shen hadn't messaged him, she was still angry at the very least. She wasn't thinking about divorce anymore. With that thought, Felix Liu relaxed completely. He turned around and hugged Ione Fu. Sometimes he wished Elowen Shen could be more mature like Ione Fu, making things easier for him, instead of hovering over him like a nagging old maid all day. He was truly tired. Felix Liu sank deeply into this comfort, unaware that a storm was waiting for him. After moving into the new place, I checked my shares in the law firm, only to find they had been transferred to Ione Fu's name half a year ago, just a few days after my car accident. During that time, I was overwhelmed with grief. When Felix Liu had me sign documents, he said they were required by the hospital. I never imagined they were share transfer agreements. After he had our child killed and regained his memory, he even transferred my shares to Ione Fu. I clenched my fists tightly, forcing myself not to lose control. Later I went to the prison to find the driver responsible for the accident. The official conclusion had been that he was driving under the influence. But now I learned he was a gambler who had been paid 100,000 yuan by Felix Liu to hit me. On purpose. To Felix Liu, my life and our child's life were worth only 100,000 yuan. A chill ran from the soles of my feet to my brain. As I walked out of the prison, Rowan Ju arrived just in time. "Elowen Shen, why are you crying?" I froze, touched my face, and realized it was covered in tears. I wiped my face roughly and handed him the recording. "All the evidence is here. Prepare to sue Felix Liu, Rowan Ju. You'll win, right?" Rowan Ju nodded heavily. "Rest assured, leave it to me." Felix Liu stayed at Ione Fu's house for nearly a week. During these days he didn't go to the office, and Elowen Shen didn't contact him. A hollow feeling lingered in his chest, as if he was about to lose something important. Listening to the sound of cooking from the kitchen, he grew increasingly irritable. He suddenly grabbed his coat from the sofa and rushed out without responding even when Ione Fu called him. Felix Liu didn't go straight home. Instead, he stopped by a flower shop and bought a bouquet of bellflowers, Elowen Shen's favorite. Elowen Shen loved him. If he softened his attitude, she would eventually calm down. But when he pushed open the door, the living room was empty. Felix Liu frowned, assuming Elowen Shen was sleeping. Yet when he pushed open the bedroom door expectantly, there was no sign of her. His heart dropped sharply. Elowen Shen didn't have a job, and during the year he'd been amnesiac, she had done nothing but care for him. Now he had no idea where she could be. Felix Liu dialed Elowen Shen's number. 1 ring. 2 rings. No answer. He finally realized something was wrong. The Elowen Shen who loved him would never go days without contacting him, let alone disappear without a trace. The only possibility was that she was avoiding him on purpose. Felix Liu massaged his temples, wondering where to look for her. Suddenly he slowly turned his head toward the half-open wardrobe. He opened the doors one by one, and found all of Elowen Shen's clothes were gone. A wave of panic washed over him. The living room, bathroom, study, everything belonging to Elowen Shen was gone from the house. Felix Liu suddenly remembered that rainy night before he left. The figure carrying a suitcase hadn't been an illusion. It had really been Elowen Shen. She wasn't throwing a tantrum, nor was she just angry. She truly wanted a divorce. Just because I didn't tell you I'd regain my memory, you want a divorce? I lifted my chin slightly. Elowen Shen, thank you for letting Felix go. Since you've decided on divorce, please stop harassing Felix from now on. She no longer pretended to be gentle and kind. Felix Liu didn't push Ione Fu away. He expected me to throw a hysterical fit like before and beg him to stay. But this time I just smiled and said calmly, I wish you both happiness. At those words, the expression on Felix Liu's face froze instantly. I turned and left. Behind me, Ione Fu's uneasy voice rang out. Felix, can't you see she doesn't love you anymore? Let her go and let yourself go too. You still have me. I'll always be with you. You? Felix Liu's face turned dark and he sneered. What are you anyway? Just a psychologist. Do you really think you're my wife? Ione Fu, our doctor-patient relationship ends here. Ione Fu stared at him in shock. The old Felix Liu would have indulged her, comforted her, even harmed his own wife and child for her sake. But the Felix Liu now was a stranger, as if she'd never known him at all. Ione Fu was stunned by his harsh words. She stepped in front of him, blocking his way, and demanded, Felix Liu, explain this to me. What do you mean our relationship ends? Was it ever just a doctor-patient relationship between us? What else? Dr. Fu, do we have any other relationship written into our contract? The mockery on Felix Liu's face completely shattered Ione Fu. She couldn't believe the man who'd been intimate with her moments before could say such heartless things. Felix Liu, are you joking? You were the one who said you loved me, wanted to be with me. Now you. Did you not seduce me first? Felix Liu blurted out irritably. He'd thought Ione Fu was gentle and mature, that he loved her. But when Elowen Shen truly wanted to leave him, he realized no one could compare to her. He only loved Elowen Shen. Everyone else was just a sweet distraction in his tedious life. He'd had his fill. But losing Elowen Shen? He'd rather have nothing. Ione Fu, weren't you the one who deliberately tempted me while I was amnesiac? Do you think your playing hard to get was that clever? What happened between us was mutual. But I'm not interested anymore. Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. I'll give you 200,000 yuan as compensation. But you have to return Elowen Shen's shares. Otherwise, you know what I'm capable of. Ione Fu's eyes widened in disbelief. She stared at Felix Liu's rapidly retreating figure, a trace of malice flashing in her eyes. Before the trial, friends called me one after another, asking where I was. Felix Liu was searching for me like a madman. Elowen Shen, Felix didn't mean to hide it from you. Just forgive him this once. What man doesn't make mistakes? Elowen Shen, Felix truly loves you. He's been too distraught to eat or sleep, staying up for nights on end. His eyes are dark circles. Don't you feel sorry for him? Elowen Shen, look at Felix. He really knows he's wrong. If he keeps drinking like this, he'll drink himself to death. In the video, Felix Liu sat dejectedly on the floor surrounded by empty wine bottles, murmuring my name over and over. Listening to their pleas, I felt a deep sorrow. So-called friends were only Felix Liu's friends. They'd never been mine. I blocked their numbers. I was about to get ready when my phone rang repeatedly. It was that unknown number. Elowen Shen, why don't you just die? You think Felix really loves you? Look how soundly he's sleeping in my arms. I'm pregnant. It's Felix's child. I stared at the ultrasound photo without a flicker of emotion. I'd been receiving insults from this number these past few days, even explicit photos of Felix Liu in bed. At first I didn't care, but when I looked into it I found out. The owner of this number was Ione Fu. She refused to send her own photos. It seemed she still cared about saving face. If that was the case, I had no qualms about exposing her true colors openly in court. On the day of the trial, many people filled the spectator seats. Felix Liu arrived early as well. He looked much thinner, with dark bruising under his eyes. His gaze lit up the moment he saw me. Elowen, I finally get to see you. I've been searching for you all these days. I've cleared everything up completely with Ione Fu, and terminated our doctor-patient relationship. She won't disturb us anymore. Can you forgive me just this once? I stepped back and said expressionlessly, I don't care what your relationship with her is. All I want is a divorce. And to make you pay for what you've done. A flash of pain crossed Felix Liu's eyes. Just because of Ione Fu, you're going to throw away all our years of feelings. Elowen Shen, I only made the same mistake every man makes. Why can others forgive but not you? Deep down you just don't love me. At all, right? Only someone who doesn't love another could be this ruthless. I laughed out of sheer fury. I never knew a person could be so shameless. I had no desire to waste more words and was about to enter the courtroom when Ione Fu walked over in high heels. Felix, she doesn't love you anymore. She can't wait to dump you and throw herself into another man's arms. Only you're foolish enough to wait for her to change her mind. She held a stack of photos in her hand. Felix Liu glared at her impatiently, but his face paled drastically the second he saw the pictures. Is this why you're so set on divorcing me, Elowen Shen? He gritted his teeth and flung the photos straight at me. The sharp corners scraped painfully across my cheek. I stared at the photos scattered all over the floor, my pupils shrinking. The person in the pictures was none other than Rowan Ju and me. Elowen Shen, you know full well Rowan Ju is my arch-rival. Just to get revenge on me, you got together with him. Have you lost your mind? My turned cold. I was about to speak when a voice came from behind me. Mr. Liu, you need not concern yourself with Miss Shen and me. The trial is about to begin. After you, Mr. Liu. Felix Liu's face turned livid. He grabbed my wrist tightly, grinding his teeth. Elowen Shen, don't you owe me an explanation? His grip was so tight it felt like he would crush my bones. Felix Liu, did you even read the copy inside the document bag? Felix Liu frowned, looking utterly confused. I suddenly understood why he could still be so brazenly confident even now. Half a year ago you lied about being trapped in an elevator. I rushed out in the rain to find you, and got into a car accident afterward. Let me ask you, was that car accident really an accident? And my shares in the law firm? You tricked me into signing the transfer papers when I was grief-stricken over losing our child, and gave them to Ione Fu, didn't you? You had already regained your memory when I lost the baby. You watched me suffer, watched me fret over your lost memories. What were you thinking back then? With every word I spoke, Felix Liu's face grew paler, and he even began to tremble. I leaned closer to him and said every syllable clearly. Were you thinking why I didn't die in that car accident? Felix Liu's pupils contracted violently, overwhelmed by overwhelming agony. He thought I only wanted a divorce. He believed that without Ione Fu, I would change my mind and come back to him. He had always been this, confident about my feelings for him. That was why he paid no attention to the court summons at all, not even bothering to open the attached copy. He asked our friends to help persuade me, hoping to talk me out of the divorce before the trial. He had never intended to fight this lawsuit seriously. But he never expected that I knew everything. Elowen Shen, listen to me explain. It wasn't what you think. I did those things while I was still amnesiac. I thought I didn't love you then, but I regretted it the moment my memory returned. I didn't know how to face you. I suffered too. I dreamed of our child every night back then. I had no choice. I needed Ione Fu's psychological counseling. Elowen Shen, I beg you, forgive me just this once. For the sake that I once saved your life, just this once. As he spoke, he pulled open his shirt, revealing the raised scar on his chest. Do you remember? I almost died saving you, Elowen Shen. Treat it as a life for a life. Will you forgive me? My eyes grew warm, and I suddenly felt a deep sorrow. To Felix Liu, that unborn child had never mattered at all. Felix Liu, did you ever truly care about that child? Or do you only care about the child Ione Fu is carrying? What child of Ione Fu's? Elowen Shen, I've only ever wanted the child born to you. Is that so? Then what is this? I raised my phone and held the ultrasound scan right in front of Felix Lu's eyes. Watching his stunned expression, I let out a self-deprecating laugh. Come to think of it, I have Ione Fu to thank. If it weren't for her, I would never have known. Your lie about being trapped in the elevator was just a forfeit from a dare. I would never have found out you were celebrating her birthday while I searched for you in the rain. I wouldn't have installed a monitor in your car and learned all those disgusting things you've done. Felix Lu, just wait for the law to bring you to justice. Felix Lu stared at the messages one by one, his body trembling uncontrollably. His eyes turned bloodshot as he glared furiously at Ione Fu. Why would you do this? Why did you have to bring everything to Aloan Shen's attention? Ione Fu's face turned deathly pale, filled with panic. Ione Fu's face turned deathly pale, filled with panic. Felix, let me explain. As she spoke, she shot me a vicious glare. I had no patience to watch their act anymore and walked into the courtroom alongside Rowan Ju. Having completely lost his reason, Felix Lu slapped Ione Fu hard across the face, filled with the urge to tear her apart. Didn't I say we could part ways peacefully? Did you take my words for nothing, Ione Fu? Ione Fu covered her cheek, a trace of blood spilling from the corner of her mouth. She grabbed Felix Lu's hand, trying to use the child to bring him back to his senses. Felix, I'm pregnant with your child. You do love me, don't you? Let's get married. Okay. Felix Lu let out a cold sneer. Are you certain this child is mine? Ione Fu, I put birth control medicine in every glass of water I gave you. How could you possibly be pregnant with my child? Ione Fu's eyes widened in disbelief, never expecting Felix Lu to be so ruthless to her. She struggled to stand up and sneered coldly. Felix Lu, you're in no position to be the father of any child now. Have you forgotten? The evidence Aloan Shen holds is enough to send you to prison. You'll soon be a desperate fugitive. Felix Lu froze for a moment before finally coming to his senses. Panic washed over his face. He tried to flee but was forcibly escorted into the courtroom by court staff. Felix Lu had stood in court countless times before, always calm, confident, and triumphant. But this time, he had no way to refute any of the charges Rowan Gu presented. He stared at me dejectedly, hatred flashing in his eyes. Aloan Shen, are you really going to ruin me completely? I said calmly, I only want justice for my child. At my words, the hatred in Felix Lu's eyes instantly melted into raw pain. His shoulders slumped in defeat. He listened to the judge's verdict and the angry murmurs from the spectators, looking as if he had lost all hope. In the end, Felix Lu was convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to 10 years in prison. As he was led away, he glanced at me with red-rimmed eyes, his lips parting but no words coming out. The lawsuit spread like wildfire across Zhengcheng overnight. Felix Lu became the talk of the town among locals. Ione Fu was also dismissed from the hospital for immoral conduct. On the day she was fired, she went to the dean to beg for leniency, only to be caught red-handed by the dean's wife as they were having an affair in the office. Enraged, the dean's wife cast aside all thoughts of keeping family scandals private. She grabbed Ione Fu by the hair and dragged her disheveled into the corridor, screaming insults at the top of her lungs. Amid the crowd's pointing fingers and shoving, Ione Fu tumbled down the stairs and miscarried on the spot. Word spread that the child was actually the dean's. Furious, the dean's wife invited reporters to expose the scandal while Ione Fu was hospitalized. Soon afterward, news of the affair between Ione Fu and Felix Lu was leaked by insiders. The two became notorious throughout Zhengcheng, despised by everyone. I learned all of this 3 months later. During these 3 months, I traveled to clear my mind. I was returning now only to bid Zhengcheng farewell for good. After learning Felix Lu's true nature, our former friends all came to apologize to me. Aloan Shen, we're truly sorry. If we had known what kind of person Felix Lu was, we would never have spoken up for him. I smiled faintly. It's all in the past now. After all, even I, who shared his bed, never saw his true colors. How could anyone else truly know? I sold off all my assets in Zhengcheng. On the day I left the city, I received a letter from the police station. It was written by Felix Lu. I didn't read it, just tore it up and threw it into the trash can. I was about to hail a taxi, when a Bentley pulled over to the roadside. Rowan Ju waved at me. Where are you going? Let me give you a ride. I accepted his offer without hesitation. The lawsuit had also made Rowan Ju extremely famous, turning him into one of the most sought-after lawyers in Zhengcheng. He talked about how busy he had been these past few months, and his soaring reputation now. When the car stopped outside the airport, he brought up Felix Liu. I went to visit him in prison. He's in a terrible state. He asked me to pass a message to you. He said he's sorry for what he did, blinded by lust and temptation. He also said he truly loved that child. If he hadn't faked his amnesia, he would have been living a happy life right now. Eloin. Shen, do you know? I thought I would feel triumphant seeing my old rival fall into ruin, but I don't. Are you sympathizing with him? My tone turned slightly cold. Rowanju smiled. Not at all. I just can't help feeling emotional. I've always thought a devil like him deserves to burn in hell. Seeing me smile faintly, Rowanju asked again, will you ever come back to Zhongcheng? I looked up at the clear blue sky and shook my head. I don't know. Probably not. There was nothing here worth holding on to. I left Zhongcheng and settled down in a coastal city. One day I was picking up seashells on the beach, when I received a call from the police station. Is this Eloin Shen? Felix Liu has passed away. I froze for a moment, only then learning that Felix Liu had suffered from depression in prison, and developed suicidal tendencies. That letter had been his last wish to see me. One final time. My heart remained completely calm. The police asked, when will you be free to handle his funeral arrangements? I replied in a steady tone, you should contact his family. He and I no longer have any connection at all. Felix Liu's parents hadn't kept in touch with him for more than a decade. Upon hearing of his death, they looked faintly surprised yet felt little sorrow. They cremated Felix Liu's body and scattered his ashes into the sea without a second thought, not even bothering to buy him a tombstone. It was as if the one who had died was not their son but merely a stranger. I sat on the beach, basking in the sunshine. My heart was perfectly peaceful. This story tells us that love should never be blind, nor should we lose our bottom line in self-respect. The heroine devoted everything to her marriage only to suffer serial hurts from her husband, feigned amnesia, betrayal during pregnancy, deliberate harm to their unborn baby, and embezzlement of her property. Her years of deep love were totally wasted. Fortunately, she let go decisively, and fought for her rights bravely after seeing the truth, finally breaking free from pain, and regaining freedom. The most valuable thing in a relationship is to stop loss in time. A wrong person will only drain you. Never overestimate human nature or give up independence and dignity. Only by staying sober, holding on to yourself, and refusing to be trapped by toxic people and things, can you truly protect yourself, and live your own life.